Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Mike Thorwart with the Cage Talk Podcast, the July 30th, 2011 edition. We're just kind of waiting for Jason Arnott from Wanted Industries to come on the line because before we can really start it, I want him on the line for the big announcement that we have, and it looks like that's him right there. Hello?
Hello.
Jason.
Mike, how are you today, man?
I'm doing good, bud. How are you?
I'm doing real well.
Good, man. Jason, we got Justin on the line as well. So Justin meet Jason, Jason meet Justin.
Hey
Jason,
Justin, what's going on, man?
Absolutely nothing. Just enjoying a nice break in the weather in Missouri. It's been hotter than devil's balls out here, man.
Oh, we still got the heat here, man. It's crazy today.
Yeah, I know, man. Humidity sucks.
It does. It brings out the best in everybody.
Yeah, I feel like I'm walking into like an old whorehouse every time that I walk outside. It just stinks and it's hot, and it's not a very good place to be.
No, it's not.
All right, guys. Before I get started, I want to let all the listeners know, whether you're listening later on and you've downloaded from iTunes, or you're out on Blog Talk Radio and you're listening to it live, or whether you're listening to it later. Mr. Jason Arnott and myself have a nice little announcement for everybody today. As of about 5:30 p.m. last night, myself, the Cage Talk Podcast, and Wanted Industries has basically partnered up. So now Wanted Industries is the official sponsor for the Cage Talk Podcast. So every week now it will be presented by Wanted Industries. So it's big stuff, man, and eventually it will be available probably on Wanted Industries' website, I'm assuming. And so it's good stuff, man. This happened over the last probably 24 to 48 hours. I was talking to Ryan McDonald, and it took me a couple of days to think about, but it just made sense, and I'm really excited for the relationship.
Yeah, we are too, Mike. It's a great honor to be given the partnership sorry, a little nervous today.
That's all right.
Given the sponsorship of the show, it like us, we're in our infancy in sponsoring fighters and clothing, and this is episode number 3 of Cage Talk. So I think we've got big things in front of us. I think it's definitely something that's going to work for everybody involved.
Yeah, man, definitely. I'm real pumped up for it, because the thing is that you have all these clothing companies that, they just kind of stick to like fighters and things like that. But I think it's awesome that you guys are like willing to branch out. There's really only one other clothing line. There's a couple now because of like just how big they're getting. But like companies like Silva, like they've always sponsored numerous people. Like Michael Buffer has his own shirt. You know what I mean? Like they like sponsor like announcers, they sponsor skateboardists, BMX bikers, and like in today's day and age, man, you have to be able to branch out. You have to be able to offer something new to people, or else you're just the same as everybody else. And I'm real excited to work with you guys. I'm real excited to, hopefully, bring the Cage Talk Podcast to more of the world. So I think that we could probably do that.
I would agree. Definitely. And we're always looking at new ways to get our name out there. And thankfully Twitter's been one of the best tools we found to get our names out there. And obviously to meet good people like you.
Likewise, man. And let me tell you what, without a shadow of a doubt, Twitter, Facebook, whatever you use, MMAmelee.com, they are the best free marketing tools on the planet. You don't even really have to hire a marketing division anymore. As long as you know what you're doing with Twitter and with Facebook and things like that, and you know how to get people to look at your pages, there really isn't any reason to do anything else. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy. It's crazy that, just like Dana White has like over 1 million followers, for instance. You know what I mean? Like he can send out that he is standing on the corner of blah and blah, and the next thing you know, 5 minutes later, there's 20,000 people there. It's ridiculous. It's insane.
Yes, yeah, it is. It's crazy, and he uses that tool very well. We've been to a few of the UFC events, and he does those giveaways before the fights, and he gets people streaming from all over whatever city that it's in. It's really incredible.
Right. I mean, he fired Nate Marquardt through Twitter.
Yeah.
That's
something.
Yeah, I mean, that's not really the best way to go about things, but I mean, like, that's how powerful that it is. I mean, Shaquille O'Neal used Twitter to retire. He announced his, he announced his retirement to nobody else. Like, his manager talked about it, or his manager didn't even know, I don't think, until he, like, read Twitter. Like, he retired over Twitter.
It's amazing. It's amazing how far that little thing has come, that little 140-character piece of technology that we have.
Yeah, I still wish I give it up to character count.
Yeah. Yes, I would too.
Go ahead, Justin. You were going to say something? Sorry, bud.
No, that's all right. I wish I would put my money in that 140 characters, Way back in the... I'm excited for you guys. I'm getting into this in the last couple of years, and I see how far, things like Twitter and Facebook have taken me. If it wasn't for Twitter, I wouldn't have gotten tickets to my first live show back a couple of months ago. I got to throw a lot of props out to Connor Hune from Strikeforce. He had a contest. I've followed the guy for the last couple of years. Has a contest for his fans, and before you know it, I'm darn near cage side at the downfall of Strikeforce's heavyweight division. That's what I'm going to call it. That's kind of where it started. But it had a lot of people that I'm happy to call friends, all via the social network, and you talk about all the good things it can do. I love seeing it work for guys like you. That's what it's all about.
And that's true, man. I mean, like, there's just so many people that I wouldn't have met. Obviously, Jason and Ryan and, just a couple other people. Like Joe Henley. There's just some people that I never would have met, never would I have ever probably been in contact with them if it wasn't for social networking. I mean, that's just all there is to it. It's a great way to get in contact with people without really giving out a whole lot of information about yourself as well. Like, you can literally, like, strike a deal through Twitter instead of giving somebody that you don't want to give, like, your number to. You know what I mean? Like, like email addresses, anything. I mean, you can literally, just do whatever you want to do. And you want to know what, man? It looks like that Ryan's calling in right now.
Perfect.
I'm pretty shocked. Hold on one sec here. Hello. Is this Ryan?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
What's up, bud?
Not too much. I needed to call in and say hello.
Well, that's good, man. I'm pretty glad that you did. I'm actually pretty shocked. So you're on the line with Jason and Justin Odell right now.
What's going on, guys?
Not much, man.
How's it going,
brother?
Oh. So what's going on? What are we talking about?
Not a whole lot, man. We were actually just talking about the power of social networking and just how, like, it's the best free marketing tool on the planet, basically, and how you don't even really need to hire a marketing division so much anymore as long as you know how to use, like, Twitter and Facebook, and brought up how Dana White himself fired Marquardt through Twitter, and we were just kind of talking about that. We didn't really get into anything too much yet, but we did make the big announcement, though.
No way. That's good news, man.
It is good news, man. I'm real pumped up for the opportunity and for the show, and I think that it's going to take it to the next level, which is exactly what we need. All right.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely agree with you, Mike. And really wouldn't be around without Twitter. That's really how the brainchild got started. Was just some innocent chatting, and the next thing you know, this is kind of where we're sitting.
Yeah, man. I mean, I remember when I had like 2 followers, and both of them were spam. like that was it. Like, I had 2 followers for like 6 months, and I was like the most depressed individual. Like, I had my finger on the delete button for, like 10 hours straight. I'm just gonna delete my account, man. I fucking suck. You know what I mean? Like, only 2 people wanted to freaking follow me, and they were spam bots. You know what I mean? It sucked.
Well, listen, I signed up for Twitter and never used it for almost a year before I even started on there. I just signed up looking to see what it was, and I wasn't interested because Facebook was the thing at that time. And here I am now, 1,000+ followers.
I know, that's awesome, man. Like that's like my goal. What sucked was is that right before the mass event, I was trying to get to 500, because when I got to 500, I was going to obviously give out floor seats to that event. But it was real funny, dude, because like within like 2 days after the event, I went from like 490 to like 530. I'm like, man, why couldn't this have happened like 2 days ago? You know what I mean? It was very awkward.
Yeah, it's just a massive. You get days that people, I've noticed, like you can say something, no one ever replies, and then you say something again the next day, and all of a sudden you've got everybody that follows you wanting to comment. And it's almost the exact same comment that you made the day before that nobody saw. So it's hit and miss.
Those Twitter quitter account things, I get those emails like once a week, and you're almost sad when somebody stops following you, you know?
I never pay attention to that.
Yeah, I don't really pay attention too much either. I don't even know what it is. Like the one day I'll have 528, next day I'll have 532, next day I'll have 525. I'm just like, oh well. I mean, because I still do get a lot of spam followers. You know what I mean? Like I get a couple like fake porn stars that are like follow me, and I'll get this link that says, "Is this your blog?" You know what I mean? It's like
lately the direct messages with it's either, hey, someone's saying crap about you, or is this you in this picture? And then I'm starting to get the Viagra direct messages.
I got them too. I was thinking, man, oh man, I didn't think I was that close to my Social Security check yet. You know.
Well, yeah. I mean, what it is that you got one bozo that freaking clicks on it, and then it affects all of his followers. Like, that's what happens. I mean, it's like a chain reaction. It's like on Facebook. It's like, oh, my God, look what this girl got suspended in high school for. It's like, dude, how old are you? I can't believe you're still clicking on these things, because obviously you know the last time you did, it fucked a lot of shit up. So why are you still clicking on these things? Because then it affects everybody. It affects everybody, you know, like all of your friends, everybody that you're following, and you know, and then you look like an asshole because you're sending out hard-on pill links.
Well, it's kind of funny because actually the Monday after we did the last Cage Talk, I got one from Jesse saying that, is this you on this podcast? And I thought, well, yeah, it has to be. Yeah, that was kind of funny how that kind of worked out. He was actually the first one to send me spam on Twitter. I never did thank him for that one.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, all right. I mean, I guess the first things first. I mean, because everybody's probably talking about it today and wondering like what's going on and blah 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 blah. Like I didn't even know about it. Like I was watching Inside MMA last night and I wasn't really online or looking at any news or anything like that. So I didn't even really know what was going on. And then they busted in with their little breaking news saying that Overeem was fired. And to be perfectly honest with you, I'm not that shocked. First of all, when he said that he couldn't fight in September and that whole thing happened and they put in Cormier or whatever it is, I can't really pronounce his last name, to replace Overeem. Like, I don't even know what that was all about. Like, first of all, before talking about him getting fired, like, what do you guys think about him pulling out of the tournament because he said he couldn't fight until, like, October?
Well, I think it fell in the original timeline was Strikeforce. I don't think they were planning the event until October.
Right.
And at first it was a broken toe, apparently, and then I've noticed today a lot of people talking that he's got x-rays of a broken rib that would have actually put him out until October, maybe even longer. But then, you know, some of the people were saying last night that he'd already booked another fight in October with Unified Glory, I think.
Yes, something like that. It's his trainer's promotion, I believe.
Yes, part of Team Golden Glory.
Yeah, and they'll give him another freaking squash match. I mean, they aren't going to give him anybody big. I'll tell you that right now. I mean, they're going to give him some guy. They're going to give him like Jeff Munson. I don't know why I always mention Munson, but I do. But like, and I think it sucks, man. I really do. I really wanted to see him go through the entire tournament. I really did. I wanted to see Overeem win it. And I wanted to see him get tested in the UFC. Obviously, I don't think that's going to happen now because obviously Zuffa is the parent company of both of them now. And he obviously burned some bridges somewhere or another. I think that there's a lot more to the story than what they're telling us. My personal opinion is that he probably, he had one fight left on his deal, which would have been that semifinal fight with Giant Silva. And so I think there's a lot of rumors saying that he was trying to do some, contract negotiations, trying to make himself worth a lot more money. So my personal opinion is that he probably wanted a ton of money to fight. And you know how Zuffa is, and Dana White and the rest of them, about giving tons of money to people that they don't think deserve it or haven't proved themselves yet. And he probably wanted to fight in 37 other promotions. I think I said 87 last night, but I said 37 today. And he probably wanted to fight in all these other promotions. He probably wanted to do K1. He probably still wanted to fight in October at his trainers or whatever thing. And obviously, Zuffa's not going to have that. They're just not going to have it. They're not going to let anybody fight outside of them. So, I don't know. What do you think, Justin?
I look at Overeem. He was the one guy I had. It's hard not to follow him because he's got this myth built up about him. He was the one guy I was really excited to see live in Dallas back in June. Saw the guy walking around the hotel. I'm going, you know what? I don't know the guy's life, steroids or not, testosterone or not, whatever the guy's doing, he's a physical specimen. I was excited to see him. He put on the performance he had, and I'm like, good Lord, my 10-year-old daughter could have gone in and done that. My first thought, from the fans' perspective first, is the first thing I heard was he had a broken pinky toe. And I'm like, you're talking to a guy who's broken multiple bones doing multiple stupid things, and all of a sudden he's going to pull out because of a broken pinky toe. My first thought, like you and I were talking via Twitter last night, Mike, was there's got to be something going on. There's got to be more than a broken toe. It's got to be more than a broken rib. I wish we knew the whole story, and I think that's the one thing is, again, as a pure fan, I'm like, what the hell's going on? Why the hell is this guy not wanting to fight? He's finally got a chance.
You wanted Silva money.
Yeah, that's it right there. He's finally got a chance to break into the biggest market in the world and truly break in, and he's throwing it all the way. I just want to know why.
I think he's one of the guys from Strikeforce that would deserve that kind of money anyway.
I would definitely agree. I mean, he can bring the crowds. There's no two ways about it.
I think he would have shaken up that heavyweight division. If he came over to the UFC, he would have been one of the guys to make anybody run for the money. That belt would have been probably his. I can almost guarantee it.
The only thing that makes me hesitant to agree 100% is, obviously the guy's a hell of a striker. We all know that. But I would have loved to have seen him test it. And I saw, somebody that follows me on Twitter brought up the idea the other day of a truly healthy Brock Lesnar who's not afraid to go in there. We all know Brock's punching leaves something to be desired, but him against somebody like Overeem, the size and the power of both of them, what would happen? I'm like, I don't know if we're ever going to get to now.
Overeem would completely smash him.
Brock's skin would crumble.
I don't know. I don't know about that. I think Brock would take the same approach he took to Herring. I think he'd hit him once, drop him, and stay on him for the rest of the fight. Because Overeem's ground game, as far as in comparison with Lesnar, there really is no comparison. I think Lesnar would maul him like a bear cub. In my opinion.
Well, did you see the Overeem versus Duffy?
That was a one-punch standing knockout.
That was it, and Duffy's a machine.
Well, Duffy acted a little silly in that fight. Like, he literally just ran at Overeem and started throwing blows.
Well, he was going for that 6-second knockout again.
Yeah, and that just wasn't a good idea. You have, and Overeem obviously winning K1. He's a pretty high level striker, and when you're running in and you're trying to throw blows with a high-level striker, you're probably going to get knocked out, and that's exactly what happened. And Duffy is a machine. He really is. And Overeem just made him look like he's never fought before, basically. And I'll tell you what, I am no longer sold on Brock Lesnar. When he came back in and mauled, Heath Herring, and then he mauled Frank Mir the second time that they fought. But then after watching him and Carwin, the way that he cringed when he got hit and the way that he just basically cowered it up for 2.5 minutes and let Carwin punch himself out. And then watching him in Velasquez fight, I'm going to tell you right now, I don't see Lesnar really putting up too much of a fight with someone like Overeem.
Everyone's got his number now.
Exactly.
They saw Carwin show his weakness, and that's now he's done. Like there's no getting around that anymore unless he finds someone to help him fix that problem. But there's no way.
Well, see, he had somebody though in training camp for the Carwin fight. He had Pat Barry. What better sparring partner would you want to take a punch or a kick in the face than Pat Barry?
Yeah, but what can you learn? You can't learn in that short period. A training camp, 6 weeks, 8 weeks. He's not going to learn what it's going to take someone that's learned how to punch for his whole life. It's the same.
He wouldn't even let Pat hit him in the face, though. That was his major downfall. He wouldn't even open himself up to learn. That's kind of what I heard.
No, it's because he knew if you get that one punch in the chin and you get knocked out, you're all of a sudden broken goods.
Yeah, the guy's got a chin the size of a pinto.
One concussion can lead to many.
Yes.
Yes.
So what he didn't want to take that chance, and now it's too late. He's got mashed, and that's it.
You think you'll see him come back?
That chin's got a big crack in it, and someone's just going to split it.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if we're ever going to see Brock back again, to be perfectly honest with you. I actually just got a tweet from Sean McQuarrie. It's SMACQUARRIE 44 on Twitter, and what he said is the word I heard is that Overeem's match is kickboxing, not MMA. Either way, he bowed out, so he didn't look stupid for losing the Grand Prix. I think he would have won the Grand Prix anyways. Yeah. So I mean, I don't think that he's not fighting because he thought he was going to lose it. I personally think he would have won that Grand Prix. But that's pretty interesting if that's true, that it's kickboxing and not MMA. That's a completely different ball of wax. But
it's just leading off his K1. K1, his K1 title is a kickboxing title.
Yes.
It's not MMA, so he's trying to keep that going.
Yeah. I mean, actually, he just tweeted me again and said that he's one-dimensional, like kickboxing, but that's not true because like 70% of his wins are submissions. He's submitted more people than what he's knocked out. So, I mean, he does have a good submission arsenal, just probably not as good as someone, say, like, Verdum. But as far as that fight goes, what we mentioned prior to is, Justin, you said that you were disappointed in that fight with Verdum and Overeem, saying, what kind of fight is this? I've told people time and time again, I didn't hate that fight. I really didn't hate that fight at all. Just simply for the fact of the matter is that you had a guy trying to avenge a loss. You had Verdum knowing in the back of his mind that he was probably going to get knocked out if he stood, and you had Overeem in the back of his mind thinking he was going to get submitted if he went to the ground. So that kind of brings you the fight that we saw. Overeem wanted...
Neither person wanted to go to the other person's strength, so they were just trying to keep it in their game. So, like, every time Weirdham fell over, he was calling him to the ground.
Yeah.
And Overeem's not stupid. I'm not going to climb on top of you and give you what you want.
Yeah, it's just not going to happen.
Come to my house and play. I'm not going to yours.
Yeah.
Well, see, every time Verdum did stand up and trade with him, though, Verdum was hitting him a whole lot more than what Reem was hitting Verdum.
Damage was equal. Damage wasn't being done, though.
No damage whatsoever. And a lot of the times when Verdum would try to throw a kick or anything, like literally Overeem would grab his leg and just throw him to the ground. I mean, he would like just use kickboxing tactics and literally just throw Verdum to the ground and just say, "Are you really trying to kick me?" Basically. And it's I mean that's basically what it was. But I mean, it sucks that it is what it is, that like he's in the position that he's in now, because I really wanted to see it. I really wanted to see Overeem win it. I really wanted to see him come over to the UFC, because the UFC's heavyweight division is pretty weak. I mean, there's some good up-and-comers. Like, I love Mitrione. I love Travis Brown. It sucks what happened with Barry because I love Pat Barry. And I think that the heavyweight division has a lot of potential, but they're kind of weak right now, and they could use some heavyweights from, Strikeforce?
Well, I think there's only going to be one or two they get from Strikeforce, and they just got rid of one of them.
Well, I
they
think
got rid of Overeem.
Come over.
I wonder if Bigfoot will come over. The more and more I see him, the more and more I like him. I think he can present some interesting challenges. Cormier, a lot of people thought he was all wrestling. He outboxed Munson, your favorite, Mike.
Well, Munson's
but I don't know that that's saying
so that's
much.
That's not a big accomplishment. Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
Munson's not a big striker, so that really doesn't tell me much at all. That just tells me that he's better than a non-striker. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Now I think that Silva's going to win the tournament. To be honest with you, I really don't. Maybe Barnett. I'm a huge Josh Barnett fan. I really am. I think that the winner of this tournament goes into the UFC, except if it's Josh Barnett. I'm not really sure what kind of relationship that they have. Obviously, he was fired for juicing, so I don't really know how they think about him or what they think about him. But, I mean, he's done his time. He's been out of the promotion for quite some time now, and I think he's done his time. So, I mean, if they can let Chael Sonnen back in, they can let anybody back in.
Yeah, exactly. Because Barnett's going to bring the same type of hype to every one of his fights.
Yes.
I think he'd definitely be a good match for the UFC. All history aside, but the last interview I heard with him is he really doesn't care one way or the other whether they bring him back or not.
I'd like to see the full Strikeforce heavyweight division just go over, because really, it's you fight to survive, right? So you'll see the best of the best stay, and the rest will all take a hike.
But really, other than the ones in the Grand Prix, there really is no heavyweights in.
Well, that's it. But there's no heavyweights anywhere anymore.
No.
It's not as like when they did the tough with the heavyweights, they gained what, maybe 4 or 5 heavyweights out of that whole show, and the rest disappeared. Like, I don't even hear about any of the other ones fighting anywhere.
I can't even remember any of their names, to be honest with you.
Nope, I can't either.
Yeah, it's the heavyweight, but I guess too, it's hard to get well-rounded guys that weigh 285 pounds when they walk around. Like, not too many people are actually getting into the sport when they're that big. You look, the guys that are coming from the NFL are the guys that are like that are trying to transition over. Mitrione's a beast.
I love Mitrione.
Mitrione is great. Schaub's doing well, but like I said, besides that, the only place you're going to find heavyweights, as long as they're going to start training, is maybe the NFL guys. Like Big Baby.
Like Herschel Walker?
Yeah, Herschel Walker, but he's 50-something years old now. He's not going to fight in the UFC.
No. I mean, he's pretty beast for the people that he's fought, but I think that he'd get beat up if he started fighting like some top competition.
Oh, it's nice to see someone at his age in that kind of shape still be able to do something. But if you bring him the top elite competition, he's just past that because he took too late. That's the same as when I heard Kimbo. Kimbo just took to the sport way too late. If he had come to MMA before he did all the street fighting, maybe. Same. He should have went boxing. Like, now he's gone to boxing.
I think you'll see him do very well in boxing.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. If he had taken it younger and gone into it in an actual pro stance instead of doing all the street fighting, I think he would have been top guy. I bet you in his prime, I could have seen him KOing Mike Tyson.
Think so?
Well, they have the same punching power. I don't know if he wouldn't have the same movement, but if it were just to go blow for blow, I can guarantee his power is just as bad.
He's got a good solid chin too, because I know when he fought Mitrione in Montreal, Mitrione teed off on that chin quite a bit, and like you said, Mitrione's a beast.
That's that beard though.
Yeah,
it pulls the impact.
Yeah,
it's the power of the Amish-looking beard on the black guy.
Yeah, dude. Well, that's like fighting on the street for like 30 years. Know what I mean? I mean, like his face his skin on his face probably felt like a piece of canvas. I mean, he's been like fighting in people's backyards since he was probably 6.
Did you see his video when he blew the guy's eyeball up? That punch was insane.
It was insane. Like, it was literally hanging out of his face.
Yeah, it was gross.
It was pretty gross.
What'd you do today? Knock some guy's eyeball out.
Yeah, pay me $10,000 a backyard brawl.
Yeah, right.
He was getting insane money to do that stuff. Guys thinking they could beat him.
Well, yeah, hell yeah. I mean, and the fact of the matter is that they post all their videos on YouTube, so they're getting millions of hits on YouTube. So I'm sure that they were generating revenue there.
Yeah.
So I mean, they were getting big bucks, dude. I mean, they really were. I mean, they were pulling up in some nice vehicles. Not that they couldn't rent them, but I mean, I'm pretty sure that they were theirs. And
no, but that was the whole hype. That's why Dana finally let him come and try out for the UFC. It was the hype that he was getting on YouTube. It was the hype that he had on the internet.
Right.
That was the only reason Dana had him come.
Oh, absolutely. I think a lot of people, they're just backyard brawlers. They don't think anything of it. But I was reading over an interview that Dana White did with somebody the other day, and he was talking about who gets a shot, how do you get to the big leagues, and Dana White himself brought up Kimbo, and he said, you know what, I gave the guy a shot. He said he wanted it. I gave it to him. He came in. I didn't think he'd do it. But damn it all to hell if the guy didn't come in and try. Maybe he should have started earlier. If he would have, he probably would have been really successful.
Well, he picked up a lot of things really quickly, and it was nice to see in his second fight after the show. It was so much better. Like when he even Houston Alexander was scared to get up with him.
He was. That was the first time I'd seen Houston Alexander not swing for the fences. I was looking so forward to that fight, and I almost had a box of tissues beside me crying. That was definitely not the fight that I wanted to see.
He didn't want to get anywhere near.
No, he didn't. He knew the power that guy had, and I give all the respect to Kimbo for going in and doing what he did at his age. I mean, that took a lot of balls, man.
Yeah.
So who do you guys call him for Fedor and Hendo?
I don't even care.
I'm taking Hendo. All day.
You said you didn't care. You know what?
I don't care. The fight means zero. I mean, I'm gonna watch it. Don't get me wrong, because I love watching it. I'll watch, 2 midgets fight in a cage. It doesn't matter to me. I mean, I love watching mixed martial arts, but the fight doesn't make any sense, man. Like, Henderson has just won the 205 title. He should be defending it, or Fedor should have dropped to 205, and they could have made it a title fight. They could have made it a little more interesting. I mean, Fedor only weighed in at 223. He could have easily made 205 for this fight. Easily. Like
we were talking about Brock earlier. I think Fedor's number's been shown. Like, everybody knows now.
Well, his number's been shown the minute that, and I said this even before Chael Sonnen opened up his mouth in that Ariel Helwani interview, that the minute that Fedor came to the States and started fighting some real tough fighters, he lost. He's only won once in the States, and that was against a guy that got fired for beating up his wife. You know what I mean? Like, or his girlfriend or whatever, freaking Brett Rogers. But
he even had his hands full with Rogers in the first round.
Rogers was beating his ass, man.
Yeah.
And Fedor is very accurate in his punches, so he was basically just standing there waiting to throw a bomb because he's a little faster striker than he's faster. His hands are faster than what Rogers is. So he knew that if Rogers was going to try to bang with him, that he could probably catch him, and that's exactly what he did. He was just standing there, bouncing and bouncing, nose busted up, bleeding everywhere, because Rogers just beat the hell out of him. And the minute that Rogers went to throw that punch, you just saw Fedor, boom, you know what I mean? A very accurate, fast punch. He knew that he could counter him very well. And that's exactly what he did. And then, obviously, you saw what happened with Verdum. You saw what happened with Giant Silva. And I don't even really know how good Giant Silva is. He's an absolute machine, like, as far as, like, his size, though. he's one of the most solid 265-pound guys I've ever seen. And people hate me for saying it, dude. They really do, and I'm probably going to get a lot of negative comments, but I think Fedor Emelianenko has been overrated from day one.
I have the exact same opinion. You know what? Because we have not seen him with any elite fighters.
No.
He has some names on his record, but that's when they were starting out. They weren't where they are today.
Or finishing off their career.
Yeah, it's nowhere. Like he has no real wins. Like he wants to go out being with the record that he has, so that way it looks the way that he is number one. Like honestly, you know what? He's a good fighter, but there's nobody that was there to prove that he wasn't a good fighter.
I had somebody ask me the other day about this fight, Hendo and Fedor, Fedor and what's it mean? And I got to agree with Mike. It doesn't mean much. And it's a bummer it doesn't. I wish, like so many of these fights that take forever to happen, Chuck Liddell and Vanderlei finally fight. I wish it would have happened 10 years ago. I see these guys fighting now. The question that was asked to me is, does this fight hurt Fedor's legacy? No, it doesn't, because his legacy's already been hurt, just like you guys were just bringing up. He hasn't fought anybody in several years that's been of par. And, I've seen a lot of guys say, well, when he fought Tim Sylvia was number 2 or 3 in the world. When he fought Arlovsky was like 5 or 6. And Brett Rogers was number 2 or 3. Except for Sylvia, who he knocked down at the drop of a hat, the other guys had his number, and he caught him. A lot of people, they think Dana White's brash and tough when he talks about it, and he is, but I got to give the guy credit. He's right. If Fedor would have come down to 205 and come here years ago and could have done that, then you're talking a true legacy. Then you're talking a true monster. I mean, the guy came in at 223, and he looks like he's in better shape than I've seen him in quite some time. I'm going, get him at 205, and I'd love to see him take that fight for a title with Dan Henderson. That would be, like you said, Mike, at least a little bit more interesting. Fedor.
But honestly, that doesn't change the fight. It's just that it's at 205, and it's for the belt. Like, it's still...
Well, yeah, you're right. No, it doesn't change it. You're absolutely right. It doesn't change it. It's still the fight. I look at it as purely two guys fighting. They're obviously both tough. I'm still going to give the edge to Hendo. Hendo's got a chin like a block of granite. Obviously, everybody knows that.
I'm just hoping we're going to see another Bisping ending, like the way Hendo finished Bisping. I hope to see something.
Me too. I was chomping at the bit, not saying anything, but yeah, right, I agree. That would be perfect.
That would be the nail in the coffin for Fedor. He'll go back to Russia and get into politics there, or whatever he's planning on doing.
But no, this would be 3 in a row for Fedor in losses. Does that mean he's out?
Well, of course. I think he's done anyway.
I think he'd take himself out. I almost think he's ready to be done regardless.
Oh, he's going to walk. You know what? He's 33 years old. He looks like he's 50. He's had so many wars. Like he's fought forever. And yeah. I don't think his mind and his heart is in that cage anymore.
Well, I think he's discouraged. I think that, you know what I mean? Like, he's been winning for so long and beating people left and right, had a tremendous record. You know what I mean? He is basically given to the world for probably 60% of the population of the fans of mixed martial arts, maybe 70%, as the greatest fighter of all time. So he has that in his mindset. No matter how humble he tries to act, he can't tell me that he doesn't kind of think that way. And ever since he came to the States, and he's fighting some top competition, I'm going to tell you right now, when he fought Tim Sylvia, when he fought Andrei Arlovsky, those fucking guys were not the number 1, 2, no.
Nope,
what they
not
were
at all.
is they were really good fighters for their time, and the sport passed them by. And they were really good at what they did. Like, I didn't think that Tim Sylvia was really ever that good at all. I just think that there wasn't anybody that was quite at his level, if that makes any sense to you.
It was the time that they were fighting that people were just getting into the sport. There's no, like, if you were to those guys that started in UFC 1 or whatever were to fight the guys today, there's no way. Look at the Schaub and Krokop fight.
Right.
And which now I'm amazed is that Krokop's coming back and fighting again. I thought he was done. I thought he had retired.
I know. Who's he fighting?
He should have.
He's fighting Big Country.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's a silly fight too. That's just
Big Country too. I don't think he's going to be around too much longer either.
Me either. If let's just say that Krokop wins this by whatever.
Well, that's so he can retire on a win now.
Yeah.
Retire on a win in Big Country and maybe gets one more fight if he wins, and if he loses, he's gone.
Yeah, Big Country's done.
I think if he loses against Krokop, he's done because Dana wasn't really impressed with his last performance.
I'm not impressed with any of his performances, to be perfectly honest with you.
Oh, come on. His chin against JDS was solid. There's no way
insane,
you can
man.
argue
He took
that.
an ass whooping for fucking 3
Well,
rounds.
no. I'm impressed by his chin, but I mean,
if you can stand for 15 minutes and get a beating like that, you got to be a little bit impressed with that.
No. I'm impressed with his chin. Don't get me wrong, but just because you can get beat up for 15 minutes and not get knocked out doesn't mean that you're an awesome fighter.
Well, he didn't submit.
You got an awesome chin.
Well, he didn't get submitted. He didn't lose that. He lost by decision. He didn't lose the fight.
Right.
You know what? I want to see him go to 205. Drop that fat and show what he's got. He's great on the ground.
That's what I was getting ready to
World
say.
class.
Guys.
Yeah,
Get him down in weight and see the true fighter he really could be.
He's too lazy, or he'd be down there already.
Yeah, guys go to him and get trained. Big Country isn't a joke. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to fight. It's the fact he doesn't take himself seriously. He needs to lose the weight and actually fight the fight, not just fight to be on TV.
Yeah, I mean, I like Big Country. I don't hate him. I really don't. I would like to see him go to 205 too. I think even Rogan said that at one point in time. He's like, I would love to see him drop that belly fat because no matter how tough you are, that fat, trust me, I know.
It slows him down.
It does. It takes a toll on you when you exert like any kind of energy. Like I walk down the stairs to get the mail and I got to sit down for 5 minutes because I'm sweating bullets. You know what I mean? Like it sucks. And it does, and I would love to see him go down to 205 to just, maybe take. I'm not sure how long it would take him to get down there, but to really go on a strict diet, to really do some real straight conditioning because his stand-up is there, his ground game is obviously there, and it's just that he gets winded and he gets tired because he can't carry around that big belly.
I think he's trying to get to 205 because I've seen on Twitter and he's been talking to PR Cole, which is Still the Fighter, and I think he's really starting to realize that he needs to try and lose that and actually get the competition level of himself up. Like I think he's starting to realize that like after 2 losses, he's got to do something or else that's it, right? The highway.
Yeah,
we all know this.
I would think so.
So I guess the big question is, can we get Big Country into P90X and down to 205 in a reasonable amount of time?
I think if he dedicated time, of course he could. I mean, because it's just fat. It really is.
Yeah,
and
it's more so diet. I think it's not so much his exercise regime.
Yeah.
Like if he changed up his diet and because if he trains like crazy. Like I've read articles and stuff and it's true. He's got if you put him into any other sport like baseball or football, he fits in with the rest of the guys, right? Before the sport, you're used to seeing guys that are chiseled. You're seeing guys that are in tip-top shape. So it's kind of weird to see him in the mix. Tank Abbott, for example, in the old days. Look at him. Butterbean.
Oh, Butterbean was a fine physical specimen. Come on now.
Hey, he looked like what's his name from Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. King Hippo.
The Hippo. There you go. King Hippo.
Hippo. That's right.
You had to punch him in the stomach and then in the mouth.
Dude weighs like 800 pounds, and he still fights.
He did a mixed martial arts fight recently, I think, didn't he?
Yeah, I believe so.
And he,
I don't know how he did. I don't follow King Hippo too closely, but
no, freaking me either. I think I just saw it like on one of like Spike TV's like knockout shows or something like that, and then it showed the scene.
Oh no, that was on Jackass.
He fought the guy that was supposed to fight Silva. I can't remember. He was a former Mr. Strongman competitor, flip the tires, eat your refrigerator kind of guy. I can't remember what the heck his name was, though. But
okay.
Yeah, Butterbean not that long ago. That's right.
Yeah, I mean, it was like MMA rules, but like it was basically just standing, and he caught him, and he like literally killed him because Butterbean throws the hardest punch on the planet.
Well, that's Butterbean's game plan. He goes in and swings for the fences, and if he doesn't get that knockout in the first half of the first round, he's done.
Yeah,
there's no stamina, there's no cardio, there's no nothing. He hopes to knock someone out.
So where do you see Big Country if he does get down to 205? Where does that put him in the mix in the 205?
I think he's got to basically start over. I mean, I think you give him.
They put him in the middle.
Yeah, I mean,
they put him in the middle. It's hard to take a guy that was a heavyweight and then throw him down to the bottom of the mix. It's the same as with anybody else. Like, I don't understand how the UFC's done the way they're doing things. Like Shields coming in one fight and then he's got a title shot. Now Diaz is coming in, doesn't even have to fight nobody else, and they're giving him a title shot.
And a subpar fight for Shields' first fight at that.
Oh, you know what? Shields lost that fight, man.
Yeah.
So, that was a rob. Both. Campman got robbed 2 times in a row. Because Campman had that fight against
Sanchez.
Oh, yeah. The dream.
Yeah.
That's another thing. Like, yeah. Campman got robbed 2 fights in a row, like, and it was sad to see.
Then that would explain why they're bringing Diaz in right for the championship belt then, so they can get through this controversy of another bullshit judge's decision out of the UFC. I personally think Diaz is going to whoop ass, but that's just me. That's just my opinion.
Diaz, they would have thrown him in with someone that he would have beat anyway. It would never gone to a decision for him anyway. It's subpar, right? Diaz is a good fighter, but I mean, to just all of a sudden, well, Diaz has been talking crap about GSP. Let's make this fight, because you know what it is? It's bottom line dollar. They want that money.
And really, GSP's cleaned out the division. There's nobody left in the UFC
GSP's got to move up.
Absolutely.
GSP's got to move up. Silva's got to move up. There's nobody left for those 2 guys.
I seriously think, though, you'll see Silva retire before he moves up. There's been a lot of chitter-chatter about him retiring the last 3 or 4 months.
He doesn't want to lose.
And that goes to the same for GSP. He doesn't want to move up either.
He's already said he said he was going to move up, and he said if he did move up, he didn't want to he didn't want that title fight right away. He wanted to if he was moving up, he said he wanted to have 2 or 3 fights so he can get used to fighting at that weight class, and then he would go he'd take the Silva fight.
But I think there's enough guys coming up at 170 that can challenge GSP anyways, and he doesn't have to move up. If he wants to move up, fine, whatever, as long as he moves up to stay up and does have those couple fights before he gets Silva, because I think Silva would win that fight in decisive fashion anyways. But
in that fight, Silva has what John Jones has. He's got the reach and he's got the height advantage. Like that's how Jones is winning. He's keeping the guy far enough away with his reach that they can't do anything. That's the only reason I would see, like, if they got close enough, I think it would be a close fight between Silva and GSP. But
I don't know about that. I don't think GSP's fought the type of aggressive striker that Silva would present.
I think right there that
Hardy was an aggressive striker.
He is.
Not in that fight he was.
No, because GSP dictates the fight. Like it's he goes in there now, and he's not going to win by finishing the fight. He's going to win just to win the fight. He's keeping his belt he knows the weaknesses and the strengths of his fighter, and he dictates how that fight goes. He'll never get hurt.
I think that's Diaz is going to give GSP trouble though. Because Diaz, he can dictate the fight, or he can take the fight being dictated. We all got to admit, the dude's crazy. He's not afraid to get in there and bang. He's smart enough. He's good on his back. He's good from wherever. His biggest problem is he can't stop smoking pot long enough to become the athlete he needs to be.
Oh, his conditioning is subpar, man. Pot has nothing to do with it. Freaking that fucking guy does Ironman competitions all the time. His conditioning is second to none. I guarantee that. His conditioning is not an issue.
He's got the menstruating face issue. He gets cut and he bleeds for a month.
He does. His face is so scarred up that he just cuts immediately, especially over his eyes. That's one thing. And the thing about GSP is this, okay? I'm going to tell you what, right now, GSP really is that good to the point to where he can just basically do whatever he wants in that fight. And I give GSP slack sometimes, especially for his last few fights. However, you also have to knock the person that he's fighting as well. There's two people in there. If GSP literally is at the point in his career and at the point of a champion to where he doesn't have to go in and beat you. He doesn't. He's so good and so scientific that he can basically, as Ryan said, that he can dictate the fight however he wants it to go. It doesn't matter.
He has the science of getting the points. He knows what's going to get him the points to win.
Right, and it's up to the other person to beat him.
Why put yourself in danger when you can win the fight the way you know how to win the fight? Like, it makes for a boring fight for honestly, Jason and I walked out against Shields. It was horrible, and all his fights are getting that way. It's only because he's now got the science down to know how to win by collecting all the points. That's why I want to see him move up and get that challenge of the bigger guys that are actually going to bring the fight.
Well, I think Diaz is going to bring the fight to him. I don't see Diaz winning at all, but I do see Diaz coming at GSP and not standing back like Shields did. I mean, Shields looked like an idiot. I mean, and that's another prime example. Like, I hate admitting it, man, because I'm a huge mixed martial arts fan. I'm not, as what they say is like a Zuffa zombie. I'm not like on Dana White's dick. I'm not nothing like that. But people have proved it time and time again that basically the top competition in the world is in the UFC. And people have tried to come over and they've tried to beat people and they just can't do it. Very few people from other promotions have come in and been successful. Obviously with Jake Shields. I think Jake Ellenberger is going to fuck Shields up, to be perfectly honest with you. I think he's going to knock him out.
It's the fact that you've watched Campman beat Shields, you've watched GSP beat Shields. Like, where Shields was supposed to be this amazing submission artist, supposed to be able to be the strongest ever. He was supposed to be the best out of the four horsemen there with the two Diaz's, Melendez, and him. He's supposed to be the best out of that group. And here he's walked in 2 fights in the UFC. He's looked like garbage.
Yeah. And like absolute garbage.
Yeah, it's like there was no fight to Shield. The only way he got into that fight with Campman is they had to carry him to the scale for weigh-ins.
Yeah.
And then he took enough time, at least this time with GSP, and kept the weight off proper. But in that fight, what did he do? Nothing. He might have hit GSP a couple times in the face, but that was it.
Well, he did. He sent him to the hospital.
Yeah, but
with his little eye problem or whatever.
Well, he just caught him. He caught him at the right place. Freaking know what I mean? He connected three out of 100 punches, and one of them just happened to catch him at the right place. So I mean, that's not like skill that hurt GSP.
Well, it's not that I'm praising GSP in that fight either. It's just I'm putting Shield, like, where's he supposed to be at? He was supposed to be the answer, right?
Yep.
Right, and see that's one way I'm giving it to Diaz when he comes in. I mean, his handwork is what, probably light years ahead of Shields and not of Josh Koscheck.
Well, but also
yes, I did say that, right? I did say that, and he's going to push it on his feet, and he's definitely not afraid to go to his back or take it to the ground or anywhere else. So,
but the thing is GSP's got Freddie Roach in his corner. Freddie Roach is boxing. Yes. Freddie Roach is going to have GSP drilled and trained and ready for Diaz's stand-up. Diaz is a boxer, but Freddie Roach is far superior, going to be able to pick him apart and tell GSP how to avoid getting Diaz's punches hit. Like, Freddie Roach is the answer to any boxer for GSP.
Yeah, and I think that, I mean, and so many people, they said, is the answer for GSP. So many people, they freaking know what I mean. And I don't think Diaz is the answer for GSP. I really don't. I'm not saying that it's not going to be a good fight. I'm not saying that Diaz isn't going to bring the fight to him. But GSP is twice as fast. He's twice as strong.
GSP's corner is going to say, GSP, go take him down. GSP walks over, takes him down. Like that, you watched it in the Hardy fight. There was it. I think it was in the third round. They went over to GSP's corner. They said, "Okay, we want you to go in, take him down, get on top, and ground and pound." What did he do? He walked over to Hardy, took him down, got on top, and pounded him. GSP just has the knowledge and the full round to know what he's going to do. As long as he's got the train. I'm far from a GSP super fan. I'm not even, that weight class isn't my game. It's just it's hard to watch any fight that after watching a couple of his, you know what's going to happen, because he knows how to control the pace. He knows what to do with these guys. He just gets his mind so set against that one opponent, he picks apart their game. Like GSP's game is he's a very, very smart man, and he's ready for whatever's coming into that cage against him. When he lost the belt, it was because he wasn't ready for that, and it was a shot. He got hit, and that was it. That's getting into the cage. It's luck of the draw, right? You never know what's going to happen, and that's what happened to GSP that game.
So what beats GSP then?
Nobody.
Well, GSP is going to take someone that's bigger and a lot stronger, and just a bigger version of GSP.
Like, I'm pretty stoked. Like, this is what I'm excited for. I think Carlos Condit presents more problems to GSP than what Diaz does. I really hope that Condit beats BJ Penn, and I hope that he beats him in decisive fashion, and I hope that he gets a title shot after that. I really do. Like I said, there's enough people coming up at 170 that he doesn't have to move. He doesn't have to, drop his title to move up. And I want to see Condit and GSP eventually. And that's if Condit can beat BJ. And I really hope that he does. Dun Young Kim or whatever was like supposed to be the big thing at 170 coming up. And, well, we all saw what happened to him with Condit. And, but yeah, to beat GSP, it's just like Anderson Silva, man. You have two very dominant people at 185 and 170 that could probably stay on top until they decided to retire.
Well, like I said, it's gonna take a bigger, stronger version of GSP to beat GSP.
Right. I would have liked to have seen Marquardt eventually work his way up, because he's a bigger, stronger guy than GSP.
I think Marquardt would have done well in that division.
Me too. I think he would have done real well. I was excited when he first announced it. I was pumped that he said that he was going down to 170. And I was very excited to see some action with him. But obviously, I think he would have rolled Rick's story when they, when they were supposed to fight. And I don't know. Yeah, I was pumped for that. But obviously we all know that that's not going to happen.
Not for a while, anyway. If they ever let him back in, or ever let him back in.
I don't think they ever will.
I don't think they will either.
I think he'll be back.
You really?
I think he'll come back. You know, it may take a while. He may have to get some, whatever, if you want to call them big wins, if you can get truly big wins outside the UFC anymore. But just be nice to Uncle Dana. He'll let you back, I have a feeling. It may take a while. It may take longer than the fans want it to take, but I think he'll come back.
No, he'll be back. Really, come on. Yes, it was sort of a punishment type deal thing, but Sonnen and Thiago Silva still had jobs, and let's see what happens with what Dana does with Daly.
I was actually just going to say that because he's on the card tonight. Let's see if he does bring him back in.
That may be the one that he doesn't. I don't know. I just go with your gut feeling. Sometimes I'm thinking.
Oh,
of course.
I don't.
There's been a lot of. There've been a lot of people that have been tossed for drugs and juicing and whatnot. Why hasn't Barnett come back after all these years? Something else there we don't know.
Well, no. Barnett was also making millions of dollars in Japan, dude. Like.
Yeah, Barnett was having more fun being a wrestler.
Yeah, man, they were making big bucks, and that's the thing. That's like the thing with Overeem. Like, he's not going to have a problem getting paid anywhere. He makes big bucks, and he's used to making big bucks. And, you know what I mean? But, like, Mark Hart, yeah, I mean, he might be back. I mean, but, yeah, I mean, like, as you said, like, Thiago Silva and Chael Sonnen. Like, Chael Sonnen created, like, real estate fraud, dude. Like, he, like, committed felonies. I know
that has nothing to do with the fight game, though.
But it has something to do with image, which is exactly why they got rid of Brett Rogers, because the image factor, because he hit his woman. Well,
beating a woman and faking some documents for realty is a little different.
I know. I mean, it's definitely on two different planes. However, they're still both felonies. Actually, it's probably only a misdemeanor for Brett Rogers, and it was a felony for Chael Sonnen. But he snitched on everybody involved, so his punishment wasn't as bad. But it still comes to the point. You know what I mean? Like Thiago Silva used to fake piss, for God's sakes. And they only got rid of him for a year.
Well, that's the other thing I was going to say, is on the heels of all that, the felony charges, he did have the juicing charge on him in the UFC. To me, I don't know. I think Chael Sonnen should be selling popcorn in the stands, not getting in the cage. But that's just my personal opinion. I think the guy's a douchebag, and he really is a black eye on the whole fighting industry. He shows no respect for anybody, including himself, obviously. I'm not a huge Chael Sonnen fan, and quite honestly, what's that?
He's still there because everybody's still talking about him.
Yeah.
Like I said, bottom line with Zuffa and Dana, it's what brings in the money, right?
And he will continue to do that. There's no two ways about it.
It is white hats and black hats, just like the good guys and bad guys when we were all little kids running around playing cowboys and Indians. Black hats sell more tickets than white hats, and that's what Chael Sonnen does. I happen to agree with you, though, Jason. That guy's a douchebag. That's all there is to it. I'd rather... Yep. I don't even... popcorn, man. There's a lot of these guys out there. You know, big fan, and as a father, sometimes, you know, your kids are obviously going to look up to athletes and things like that. He's not one of them. I want him. Nah, hell no. Absolutely not. I don't want my kids looking at that guy. And it has nothing to do with the fact that, I mean, obviously I don't want them looking up to him because he's committed numerous frauds, apparently, but it's like just the way he treats people. I'm like, you know, there's got to be a different way to sell tickets, I would think. But what the hell do I know?
Well, what's funny is that, I mean, like, I can't stand Sonnen. I really can't. I don't like him as a person whatsoever. I have zero respect for the man. And the fact of the matter is, and the thing is that you can tell that he used to be involved in politics because he acts exactly like a dirty politician, a dirty Republican politician. But the fact of the matter is that he still talks shit on Anderson Silva. He still talks shit on Anderson Silva. He still talks shit on the Nogueira Jiu-Jitsu. And the fact of the matter is that he got tapped the fuck out by Nogueira Jiu-Jitsu. That's just all there is to it. He he cheated and still couldn't win. And what does he do? He does what your typical politician does. He turns everything around on everybody else to take the focus off of him. And the fact of the matter is that if they fought Anderson Silva again, I think he would get beat even quicker the next time.
Oh, I would agree, because he's made it personal now. And I think Anderson would actually treat him like the red-headed stepchild that he is.
He treated him like a bitch.
Absolutely kick the piss right out of him.
Yeah.
And not even finish.
Well, I don't know. We're gonna have to see. We're gonna have to see Sonnen actually fight again first to see what he's like without the juice.
Yeah, he's fighting Brian Stann, and I can't wait. Brian Stann's from my area.
That's what I'm saying. We're gonna have to see him fight again to see what would happen, because if his skill sets are the same, it might be the same thing. It's just he's not gonna have that little edge. Like how much steroids were actually in effect in that fight?
Going in against Stan, though, I really don't. I give him maybe a puncher's chance at Stan. Stan's a very well-rounded fighter. I wasn't real struck on Stan when he first came in, but unfortunately for Sonnen, I think he drew a bad fight for his first fight back. Ring rust, everything else aside, he is going to get beat, and he's going to get beat bad. Just my opinion. We've seen what ring rust does to fighters, and I think drawing Stan right off the bat, it's a tall order for Sonnen.
Yeah, Stan's gotten much better. Ever since he made the move to Jackson's, he's just he improves every single time. And that's another guy they brought in. What the hell was his name? Jorge Santiago.
Who?
The dude that Stan just beat last fight.
Can't remember. I think I watched the fight, but I can't remember even who you're talking about.
I think it was Jorge Santiago. He won all these fights in a row, like over in Japan. He has fought in the UFC prior to this, but then he moved to Japan and he won all these fights in a row. And then they brought this guy back in because he's won like 10 fights and won like the Dream middleweight championship or whatever that he won. And Stan beat his ass, dude. Stan beat his ass, and Stan looks really good. Stan's from this area, which is Jimmy Hedis as well, who just got signed by the UFC, who's from this area, who fought at Mass. Jimmy Hedis used to roll with Brian Stan. He's just improved. I'll just leave it at that. And I think Sonnen is in trouble. I mean, that's just all there is to it. I don't like Sonnen, and I hope he loses, and I hope he loses his next one, and his next one, and his next one, and they fucking fire him.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's long overdue. I mean, what really perked me up with Stan was his power when he knocked out Chris Lieben. Like, how many guys can say that they knocked out Chris Lieben? There's not too many. And so, to me, I don't think Sonnen's got the chin to stand up to that to begin with. In all honesty.
Chael?
Yeah. I don't think his chin's not that good. Not good. Not as good as Chris Lieben's.
No, Silva rocked fucking Sonnen in that fight, and he barely touched him.
Mm-hmm.
And he rocked him. He kind of wobbled him, and not to take Anderson Silva's back. I mean, I love Anderson. I love him. I don't care what anybody says about him. He's fantastic. I love watching him. He's the greatest 185-pounder to ever fight in the business, period. But, I mean, he came into that fight with whatever, bruised rib, cracked rib, whatever that it was. And you could tell that it was bothering him. And he was even pointing to it and things like that. So, I mean, when you have a guy on top of you doing what he was doing and your ribs hurt like that, sure, it's tough to maneuver out. However, if you go back to, like, YouTube and you look at, like, the post-fight press conference with Sonnen and Silva, and you look at the differences in their face, Chael Sonnen had cuts all over his face, all over. He was bleeding from his eyebrows, from his nose, from his mouth. Sonnen didn't have, not that you could really see a bruise, but he had not a mark on him. And so what Sonnen says, how can I lose that fight? I beat his ass for 14 minutes. How do you consider that? Well, it's mixed martial arts, you stupid prick. You got choked the fuck out. And
didn't beat it.
He didn't. He didn't beat his ass. He didn't beat it. Did he control him? Did he take him down? Sure. Absolutely he did. But like I said, Sonnen was bleeding from everywhere on his face. Silva didn't have a mark on him. How do you consider that an ass pounding when you claim to beat somebody up for 13 minutes, but you can't even mark them.
Well, but see, a lot of that hype comes from Dana White. Those were words that Dana used to describe that fight, and I really disagree with Dana. And to me, first submission that Silva throws up, he hooks. To me, I think he was sick of everybody bitching that he had short fights or he wasn't no action in his fights, and he gave the fans what they wanted, an absolute 5-round, one-sided Silva ass whooping. But in the end, it made Sonnen look good. But ultimately gave the fans what they wanted, and Silva the win, which he knew he could do, and I think that was part of it.
Right, and like I said, if they fight again, like a couple people just tweeted me saying that when Sonnen beats Stan, that Silva's going to run scared. I don't think he's scared of Sonnen whatsoever, dude. And if they fight again, like I said, the fight will be even quicker, and Sonnen's going to be laying on his back, looking at the lights. And you want to know what he's going to do? The next day he's going to go, "Oh, Anderson Silva's a fraud, even though he's already beaten me twice." You know what I mean? Like, the guy juices and he can't even win. You know what I mean? It's pathetic. He's a pathetic human being, and I will go on record, and anybody can quote me, that Chael Sonnen is a piece of shit, and I can't stand him.
I definitely second that, Mike. I really do.
Yeah. Can't stand the guy. I think it's bad for the sport.
He's horrible for the sport. That's not even a rematch I want to see. I keep bringing up the fact that here I am on this show, and I'm just, in the last couple of years, have I really gotten in to MMA and really started to enjoy it from what I'd call, more of a educated fan standpoint than maybe the average fan. But again, I look at that and I'm going, Chael Sonnen's obviously more than a high school wrestler, but that's what that match looked like to me, and I hear it backed up when I'm listening to you guys and you're talking about how Chael Sonnen, and I remember the press conference. I remember looking at it going, how did it take a submission for Silva to win that fight? Because he beat the bloody piss out of Chael Sonnen, but Chael Sonnen was the guy on top. If Dana White's half the fan of martial arts that he says he is, he said all the stuff he said to hype it up, like Jason said, strictly as a promoter. He knows, like you guys brought up again, that Chael Sonnen got him down and he controlled it. But he obviously did not punish an Anderson Silva in any way, shape, or form. I look at that whole fight like that. I do not want to see those guys fight again. There's no reason to. He had his chance. He couldn't do it. Had 24 minutes on top of Anderson Silva, and he could not do it.
And juicing on top of all that.
What's that? Go ahead.
And, no, I'm just saying, and freaking juicing on top of all that, he still couldn't do it.
Yeah. I don't even see him winning enough fights to get back up into top contention. Like I said, we've all agreed he's in heavy against Brian Stan, and it's not going to get any easier after that. And I don't personally see him winning that fight to begin with. So I think the odds of him making a climb back up, I don't think we'll ever see it.
I certainly hope not. The one I love the most about, we've talked about Brian Stan, but I want to make sure we don't forget that, obviously what the guy's done for the country, because I think a lot of guys, they talk about that, he gets in the cage and they think, oh, has he ever been deep? I'm like, you don't have to go deep in a cage. There ain't nobody in the UFC that's going to touch where that guy's been and what he's been through. But what strikes me the most impressive about that guy is, growing up the way I did, competing at things I did, my dad always made the point to say, you need to learn more when you lose than you do when you win. Brian Stan learns more whether he wins or loses every time. And we've all brought up, the guy he gets more and more impressive. The way he handles himself, obviously, is what we want for the sport as it starts to go more and more mainstream. The guy's just impressive, win or lose. But obviously, I want to see him. I don't want to see the guys go in and beat the hell out of each other and hurt people. I want to see him beat the living crap out of Chael Sonnen. I don't care if he does it in 30 seconds or 15 minutes. I just want to see it happen.
I believe it's going to happen.
Yeah, me too. I hope it's 30 seconds. I hope it's just so quick and Sonnen looks so bad. And the thing is that I'm not really like this as far as like talking down like on fighters and whatnot. Like, I don't care if you're 0-15 or 15-0. I have the highest respect for you as a mixed martial artist, just simply for the fact that you're doing something that I only wish that I could do. And like, I just love the sport in general. I love everybody that's involved with it. But Chael Sonnen has just rubbed me the wrong way. He really has. And
I would have guessed.
And I hope that he gets made look like a fool. I hope Stan makes him look like a fool. Whether or not that's going to happen, we'll find out. I hope Stan wins. I think he's going to win. If I were to put money down in Vegas, I'd put money on Stan. But, I think he's stronger than Sonnen and things like that. I mean, I'm going to tell you what. Sonnen was talking shit to GSP, saying how he thinks that GSP is the greatest pure athlete, but he better stay down with the midgets at 170. Chael Sonnen said that. I would tell you what, right now, GSP comes up to 185, he would smoke Sonnen. So I'm not really sure why Sonnen's talking a lot of shit as far as that's concerned. GSP would absolutely beat the shit out of Chael Sonnen. But we probably won't see that anyways, because Stan's going to beat him and someone else is going to beat him and whatever.
Exactly. But, when Stan does beat him, who's he going to make fun of then? The Brazilians aren't there. The Nogueiras aren't there. Then what?
Yeah.
Then he gets beat by an American guy who is obviously way better than him, and, I just think the guy's an asshole.
Yeah.
I don't think... look what they did with when Brock Lesnar first came in with his WWE attitude. Like, they sat him down and said, listen, your shenanigans have got to stop. Even though he was putting asses in the seats and bringing tremendous revenue to the UFC and to the sport in general, but they're letting Chael Sonnen run free and say, whatever he wants. Now, to me, that doesn't make sense either. Because, in my opinion, I think Brock's a better fighter than Chael Sonnen will ever be. Again, that's just my opinion. Because really, Chael Sonnen, he's been lucky in where he's come from, and now he's meeting the best of the best, and it's really not working out for him all that well.
Yeah, I mean, he does have decisive victories over like Marquardt and whatnot, but I'll tell you who else beat him: Damian Maia. You know what he beat him with? Jiu-jitsu. You know how he beat him? A triangle. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, but yet he still knocks all the jiu-jitsu. He knocks it, and I don't know why. Most of his losses have come by freaking submission. And I'll tell you why he's making fun of it. Because he can't do it. And he's just trying to make himself feel better because he keeps getting tapped out. Oh, jiu-jitsu sucks. Well, why do you keep tapping out to it then, you piece of shit? Basically is what it comes down to.
And why do you keep falling for the same thing?
Yeah, why do you keep falling for the same thing? And then
he's like one of these guys that keeps marrying the same woman over and over, expecting a different result.
Yeah,
to get
man,
divorced
I'll
every
tell you
single
what,
time.
Albert Einstein's theory of insanity is we keep doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results.
Exactly.
Well,
all I know is talking about a douchebag in martial arts, and then Mike went and threw in an Einstein quote. What the hell?
Well, you know what I say. You can look on my Twitter. I got the belly of Roy Nelson, but the mind of Einstein.
There you go, brother.
But, yeah, man, I mean, it's just a simple fact of the matter, and he does typical politician shit. Like, when something comes down on him, he does a great job of turning it around on everybody else. You know what I mean? Like his little comments that the Nogueiras thought the bus was a donkey. Is that what he said? Something like that? Like something silly? Like, that doesn't even make any sense, man. That doesn't even have anything to do with mixed martial arts. All he's doing is knocking he's just knocking them as a human being. You know what I mean? That's all he's doing. He's just downgrading people to try to make himself feel better because he knows he fucking sucks.
Yeah, and see, after all these all the comments he's made about Vanderlei, I'd like to see them go heads up. I think Vanderlei would kick the ever-living snot out of him.
I don't. No, I don't.
We know for sure he isn't knocking him out. Chael's not going to knock him out.
Well, no, but, I mean, I think that Chael Sonnen's going to come right up to Vanderlei Silva and take. I mean, I will say one thing. Chael does have a point. I mean, he's 2-8. I don't even know why freaking Vanderlei Silva's still there. I mean, he's 2-8 since coming into the UFC. Fabrizio Verdum got fired after one loss. You know what I mean? Like, Dos Santos beat him, and then they got rid of him, which doesn't make any sense to me because I like Fabrizio Verdum. Do I think that he could be a UFC champ? Probably not, but I think that he could be a great competitor in the heavyweight division. I really do. I think that he could be a good gatekeeper, whatever you want to put him at. I don't think that he could probably beat, we all know he can't beat Dos Santos because Dos Santos has already proved that. I mean, I don't think he can beat him. I don't think he can beat Velasquez, but I think that he could beat a lot of people that are currently in the UFC heavyweight division. And he only got fired for one loss. You got a guy that's 2-8, Vanderlei Silva, and he's still there. I have the highest respect for him. He's awesome. I mean, he was a Pride legend, but I think that Vanderlei would lose if he fought Chael.
I think the only reason Vanderlei is still around is he's the one guy, he started out here many years ago, made his name in the sport, obviously over in Japan. He's one of those guys that he transcends the ages, he transcends the different levels, he transcends to the top of the sport. He's a decent human being every time I've seen the guy, heard him do interviews. Again, he's a decent human being. His athleticism is obviously there. As a human being, I hate to see the guy still jumping in the ring because he seems like such a nice guy. And I mean, obviously we've established we'd love to see anybody beat the shit out of Chael Sonnen, but I don't want to see Vanderlei in a cage again. I was never an Iceman fan. I mean, I'm not going to knock the guy. He's one of the greatest light heavyweight champs ever, but it got to the point where I'm like, man, you've got a mind. There's so much else you can do for the sport. Walk out, still at the top of your game. Walk away and be okay. Go be a dad. Go be an accountant or whatever you got to go do to help the UFC and the sport grow.
Right. Well, I mean, like Vanderlei is another one of those things too, where people talk about how all these fighters fight overseas are the best in the world and blah 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 blah. Like Fedor. I mean, Vanderlei was running through people overseas. He comes to the States, he goes 2-8. You know what I mean? Now I will say that Vanderlei Silva has some pretty legitimate wins over Rampage and whatnot, but it's the same thing. He came to the States. I'm not even sure how old Vanderlei is.
I think he's only like 36, 37.
Okay.
I think something like that.
Yeah, he's in his mid-30s.
Okay. Well, you have a lot of. So he is getting up there, but you got to admit, since coming to the UFC, he really hasn't done that well. He really hasn't. He just likes to throw blows, and that's what he does.
And that's what he gives the fans what they want. And
right.
I think that's really the reason why he's given the option to stay around. Because if Dana fired him, Dana would be the biggest prick on the face of the earth in a lot of the fans' eyes. Now, I actually had the honor of meeting Vanderlei in Toronto, and everything you're saying about him is absolutely true. He is the most fan-friendly fighter I have ever met. And I've met a lot of fighters, but he really takes the cake at going all out for the fans and what the fans want. And hats off to him. I think he should retire too. But if he's going to come back for another slugfest, hey, bring it on. I'm here to watch.
Right. I don't know. And then you also get to the point too to where you're starting to take a lot of damage. If you're getting knocked out left and right, you're starting to take a lot of damage now. It's just like Chuck Liddell, dude. I don't even think that Chuck Liddell was getting old. I just think that people were just figuring him out. Chuck Liddell, he had great takedown defense and he threw bombs. And the minute that you get someone in there that's a little quicker than him and that can hit a little harder, he loses. That's just all there is to it. And Vanderlei Silva, I think the sport has passed him by, and people are just a little more advanced than what he is now. And I did freaking hear that too, that Vanderlei Silva is one of the nicest guys on the planet. But I think it's time for him to step away. I don't want to watch a fight that I know is going to be the outcome before I watch it.
Right,
and
yeah.
basically, that's what Chuck Liddell's fights came down to. It's like, okay, I know basically Chuck is going to get knocked out, so now it's a good time for a piss break. If you know what I mean? And, that's just all there's to it. And now it can't, and I didn't know what was going to happen with Vanderlei and Lieb, and I really didn't. I think I actually picked Silva to win that on that predictions website that MMA Takedown or whatever that it is. I think I actually picked Silva to win that fight. But the way that I saw it end, it's like, okay, he probably needs to step away. And
he's already had major face reconstruction. So yeah, he's taken a ton of damage over the years, and it would be bad to see another knockout, but he is what he is. He's a legend. There's no two ways about it.
Yeah, he is, and he will go down in the sport as a legend, and you know what I mean. Everybody will know who Vanderlei Silva is. I think 10 years from now, even the newer fans, you ask the newer, you know what I mean, like the fans that get into it over the course of the next 10 years, you ask them if they know who Vanderlei Silva is, they're going to say, of course. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is a good thing. I just got a tweet here that's saying that Vanderlei is 35.
And I had one saying he was 36.
Oh. Nice.
All I know is the guy's my age, so he's not fucking old, damn it.
Well, no, I don't think he's old either. Like that's when people talk about Fedor and like when he was in his prime, like dude, he's only 33 or 34. Like what do you mean when he was in his prime? Like he's still young. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, if you want to consider like 28, 29 years old his prime, he fought Mark Coleman. That's not really a big accomplishment, especially when Mark Coleman was like 71 when he fought him.
Exactly. Mark Coleman's prime was 30 years before he fought Fedor, and everybody goes back to that fight when Fedor did fight Mark Coleman. Mark Coleman was on his way out. You give Mark Coleman when he first started fresh in the UFC, you would have seen a different fight.
Yeah.
There's no way that Fedor would have beat Mark Coleman when he was fresh coming in. No way.
I don't think so either. I mean, Fedor can't beat today's subpar heavyweight contenders. He can't. He can't do it. He's 31-3. His 31 wins are jokes.
Absolutely.
You guys just brought up a question I was thinking about the other day. You started bringing up when we brought up Mark Coleman. This is another question I got into with a friend of mine, another MMA fan. Obviously, we're sitting here talking, and we were trying to come up and match up. Didn't matter time-wise or anything. The best matchups. Old school, new school. Take fighters in their prime. Who would you match up? My favorite one, I would love to see Kenny Florian and Jens Pulver both in their prime, the top of their career. That's a fight I'd like to see.
Oh, Jens Pulver would smash him.
Oh, it wouldn't even be a fight. Kenny Florian wouldn't stand a chance against Jens Pulver in his prime.
No, I don't think so either. Kenny Florian isn't really that good in my book.
No. Kenny Florian is pure UFC hype.
Yeah.
He's going against Aldo next, is he not?
Yes, and Aldo's going to.
He is going to get the ever-living fuck kicked out of him. There's not a doubt in my mind. They can hype Kenny up as much as they want. He is going to get knocked out, and in bad fashion too.
I think that's going to end very, very poorly for Kenny. Myself, just to see those guys though, and I'm talking again strictly from a crazy fan's viewpoint. What are fights you guys would like to see? I thought, you brought up Coleman back in the day against, obviously it's a totally different fight. What are some fights you guys would like to see?
Some fights that I would like to see?
Yeah. Take anybody from any time, obviously, in fighting.
Dude, that's so tough to do. That's so tough. I mean, if you're talking current, I could give you some fights that I want to see right now. But, I mean, like, back in the day, because, honestly, dude, like, I think dudes from back in the day couldn't compete with today's fighters. Like, Royce Gracie in his, whatever you want to call it, quote-unquote prime, in, like, the first couple of UFCs, would get murdered today.
He did.
Yeah. Matt Hughes murdered him. But, I mean, he was a little older then. But even if that was the Royce Gracie from when the UFC first came around, Royce Gracie gets murdered, dude. He's a strict jiu-jitsu guy, and that's all that he is. That's all that he is. And nobody has ever seen something like that before when, it was UFC 1 and UFC 2. Nobody's ever seen this. You got these karate guys and these guys throwing blows and they're 280 pounds and, move like old people fuck. And then all of a sudden you got this little Brazilian that weighs 160 pounds in there, and he's quick and he jumps on your back, and the next thing you know he's crawling all over your body, and then the next thing you know your arm's broke. Nobody's ever seen that kind of shit before, really, man. But you got a lot of these older fighters, dude, that I don't think that could compete in today's.
The question I now have to ask, and I can't believe I'm about to utter this, is how in the hell do you know how old people fuck, man?
I don't know, man. It's just an expression. That's all. Don't blow my spot up.
But the one fighter I'd actually like to see them bring into or fight from, UFC 1, 2, 3 would be Chemo. Chemo had a lot of different talents back in the day. Like, he was the only one to ever beat the living Christ out of Hoist Gracie. He was the first.
Yeah.
But I would like to see him come back. I think he was a 205, or he would have been a decent 205, 185, 205 fighter. I think for back in the day, he had the most, probably the best skill set of any of them going in against Hoist. And that includes Ken Shamrock. It's a shame that Chemo didn't keep fighting. Because I think he would have done well in today's modern MMA. Because he had the cardio of the time, and he also had, he could roll on the ground with Hoist, and he was I think he had ground and pound down before Dan Severn, for Christ's sakes.
That is true. I do like Chemo. I did like Chemo, and he's legit. He really is. And he was legit, and I would like to see him, back then in today's mixed martial arts, especially with some of the training that's around now with some of these camps, like you throw Chemo in Greg Jackson's camp. I mean, or, AKA or Grudge Trading Center or whatever. And I think you see a pretty mean man. I'll tell you what, one guy that I love to death, and he fought in a lot of the older UFCs, man, is Vitor Belfort. Dude, I'm a huge Vitor Belfort fan. And he's still pretty young, and I love the fact that he's still fighting. And, he had a lot of issues back in the day, with his sister getting kidnapped, things like that. And he took some time off from the sport. But Vitor Belfort, man, at 19 years old, was running through people.
Yes, he was.
And
he still will.
He ran through he ran through Vanderlei Silva.
Literally, too.
Yeah, literally. Like, he just ran and just started throwing blows. The Silva's just like, man, I don't really don't know what's going on right now, but this guy just hit me 74 times in less than 5 seconds, and it fucking sucked.
Like 10 feet.
You know what I mean? And so, I love watching Vitor Belfort still fight, man, and I think he's going to beat up Akiyama. And, I would eventually like to see him get back up into a title shot with Silva. I would love to see that rematch, dude, because I guarantee that kick to the face doesn't happen again.
Absolutely, I agree. It was cool to see Steven Seagal in the cage. Anderson Silva in the cage with the front kick, but I was bummed to see that, because Vitor is one of the guys I've been lucky enough to meet in passing several times. It seems like we're always at a freaking airport or a hotel when I run into him, and genuinely a nice guy. And I think of somebody, if anybody's got the right to be pissed off about some of the things that have happened in his life, it'd be a guy like that. I love watching the guy fight. I'm glad he still fights. Like you said, Mike, there's always going to be a little bit of a what if maybe his life would have been a little different if some of those shitty things wouldn't have happened. How much different would that guy's career have been? What could we have seen from him? And maybe we might still see it. Who knows?
Right. And the thing is that I'm like not a real big what if guy. When like someone always says, well, what if this happened? Well, what if this happened? My freaking response is, well, what if my aunt had a dick? She'd be my uncle. Freaking know what I mean? So like you can never know like what's going to happen. You know what I mean? Like what ifs are almost impossible to talk about. But it's tough to say. Like Vitor Belfort is really the one guy that's really still around from the older UFCs.
Yeah,
and that really poses a problem in that division.
Right, that's fighting at top level. He still is a top level fighter. He really is. He really is a great middleweight, and I would definitely put Vitor Belfort in the top 10 in middleweights in the world right now. There's freaking not a doubt about it. I actually think that fighting Akiyama is a step down, but maybe that's what their plan is, to just kind of give him a fight that basically everybody knows that he can win, to just kind of bring his spirits back, to help him build back up. Because let's face it, like Akiyama, there was a lot of hype around this guy, and he has not produced at all. He's about 1-3, 1-2 since coming into the UFC. You know what I mean? So I think it's a step down for Belfort, but I think it's also just going to give him what he needs, and that's a big beast win to get him back again. And then I would love to see the winner of Mayhem Miller and Bisping fight Belfort.
Oh.
That's going to be a good, interesting fight. I see Mayhem taking Bisping apart, but I'm definitely biased because I am definitely anything but a Bisping fan. I think we went over this on the last podcast, Mike, that I just don't like Bisping. And I hope Mayhem knocks him the fuck out and he doesn't wake up this time. For weeks.
I like Bisping. I really do like Bisping. Sure, can he be a prick? Absolutely, but I mean, everybody can be a prick at some point in time. But you know, Jorge Rivera was a prick for doing what he did. Before they fought. Bisping was right. He opened up his mouth to try to get a fight with a top guy, and Bisping made him look like an idiot. I mean, you know what I mean? But I like Bisping, but I love Miller, dude, and I love that fight. I really, 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 really like that fight, man. And I think Miller's going to win. But I'm a big Bisping fan, so we'll see. And I do think that if Bisping beats Mayhem Miller, I think that Bisping deserves a title shot. I think he's won enough now, and he's beat enough people to where he could, I mean, I'm not saying he's going to win. I just think that he needs a shot. He never had a title shot at 185.
Nope.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, he's never had a title fight, and I think that if he beats Mayhem, especially in decisive fashion, he deserves a shot.
I was going to say, it'd have to be pretty decisive. There's always good fights that you want to see in the UFC, but that is one of the fights, and it's just because, damn it all to hell, Mayhem Miller's just crazy fun to watch. I'm like, Jason, God almighty, I hope he knocks Bisping out. I don't know Bisping, never met him, so all I see is the edited TV version. Maybe he's the nicest guy in the world, I don't know, but it's a fight I'm really excited to see, because I hope that Mayhem just goes absolutely apeshit all over Michael Bisping.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just excited for the season, period, too. I think the season's going to be, because they're both characters.
Absolutely.
So, I mean,
I wasn't even going to watch it till we talked the last time. Now it piques my interest, so I'm going to take a look at it. But, and after that, I don't see much weight in Bisping getting in with Silva. I really don't. There's nothing that Bisping is going to bring to that octagon that is going to even challenge Silva in the least. It's going to be another roundy round, 30 seconds, Bisping's laid out cold, and the fight's over. 8 weeks of training for nothing. They might as well take Anderson right out of KFC and put him right in the octagon, because he's not going to need any training to take Bisping out.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't think Bisping can beat Anderson, but I mean, doesn't everybody deserve a shot once you start beating people, though? When you get 3, 4, 5 big wins right in a row, I think you deserve a shot. I really do. Whether or not you can beat that champion, that's a whole nother story. But I still think that you should get a title shot, and I think that if he beats Miller in decisive fashion, I think that Bisping should probably get one. Because I really don't know anybody else at 185 that deserves a shot right now.
That is why you throw two guys in the cage and close the door. Obviously, on paper, that's Anderson Silva's fight very quickly and decisively. But I agree with you. You beat several guys if you beat them decisively. As big of a prick as Bisping is made out to be sometimes, for the most part, it seems like he comes in, he does what he's asked to do, he does his fights. Other than getting his ass handed to him by Hendo,
Yeah. That was awesome. That was the highlight of the whole top season.
I agree with you. I think, absolutely, give him a fight, especially if he can beat Miller in decisive fashion. And, again, I don't think it would happen, but you can't be surprised. Again, I've growing up playing the sports I have and doing the things I've done, that's why you play the game.
I agree. He can get a title shot all day long. I just don't think he's got the tools or the skill or the mindset to really do anything with it.
Absolutely.
From a fan's perspective, to me, it's a waste of a spot on a good card. But yeah, by all means, give him one. But like I say, I think they could do it in probably 2 weeks' notice for Anderson, so that he can, like I said, get out of KFC and walk into the octagon.
McDonald's, man. Doesn't he go to McDonald's? He used to work there or something like that, I think.
I'm not sure.
I don't know either.
I read an article. He used to work at McDonald's. Silva did when he was a kid, I guess, and that's like what he sneaks out to do the week before fights, is he goes and eats Big Macs or something stupid like
that. No doubt. Well, fellas, we got a few minutes left here, so I just want to kind of tonight we got Strikeforce, okay? And I'm pretty excited for tonight's card. Even though I don't, whatever, the main event is whatever that it is. But I guess for the last 2-3 minutes or so, I guess we'll just kind of go around to everybody and we'll see what they think about tonight's fights, because I'm about to leave here. I'm going to go get my beer for the evening. And I got a couple buddies coming over. Both. I know, right? I'm going to get some more Newcastle tonight is what I'm going to get.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. So we got, mixedmartialarts.com doesn't even have the full fight card. We got Henderson and Fedor, man. Jason, who you taking?
We got Hendo.
Justin?
Hendo.
I'm taking Hendo as well. Boy, I feel like that freaking ESPN show or like on Fox where they all pick a team. I think that we should start keeping track, and it could be a little thing. We got the women's title fight tonight for the what is it? What is that? The women's weight division is a lot different. It's like are these like women like welterweights? Is that what it is? They're fighting at like 145 or 140. Are they like?
I don't remember if it was 135. I can't. Yeah, I'm not sure. You're right. It's different.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah, but we got Miesha Tate and Marlis Cohen. Who you taking, Jason?
I'm going to take Tate.
Okay. Justin?
Ditto. I'm going with Tate as well, actually.
I'm going with Marlis Cohen, man. I really think she's going to win. But Tate's no joke. Tate's no joke. And she's hot.
Yeah, she is that day.
So I don't care what anybody says. Sorry, fiance, if you're listening. I'm sorry, baby. I love you. But it's someone I'll never meet. She's hot. But we got Tyrone Woodley and Paul Daly. Who do you like?
I'm going to take T-Wood.
Are you really?
Yep.
Damn.
Yeah, we've seen what a good wrestler does to Paul Daly in the Cos fight. I got a funny feeling Tyrone's going to take him out.
All
right. What about you, Justin?
Damn it! Next time ask me first, because I'm going with Woodley as well. I think he's right. Jason's right. The wrestling has proven to be an Achilles heel to him before, and you know what? The little bit I've seen a Woodley interview-wise and things like that, I think he wants it, and he wants it bad.
Yeah, myself, I think I'm going to go with Paul Daly. I think he's going to win. But, we'll definitely see later on, but I'm going to take Daly. Now we got Robbie Lawler and Tim Kennedy. I'll tell you what, man, I like Tim Kennedy. Tim Kennedy, I think, is working his way up, and he's doing it the right way. Plus, also, he's a freaking soldier, dude, so I got to get his back in that aspect. But I don't know. I like Kennedy in this one, man. What about you, Justin?
You know what? Lawler's one of those guys I've loved forever, just from a strict fan standpoint. Again, he wants to go in. But, damn it, I want to pick him because I've met him, and when I met him, he was super nice. I was with a group of kids. He was great with them. But I think Kennedy, you're right. He's a soldier. He's coming up the right way. He's not asking. He's not. He's taking and he's just doing the work. And I love seeing guys walk in and do the work. So I think he's going to do it tonight.
All right. Jason.
No arguments here, man. I got Kennedy on this one, too.
Yep, me too. And then also Scott Smith, I can't pronounce his name, Tarek Safadine, I'm not really sure. To be perfectly honest with you, I don't know who's going to win. Scott Smith's the only guy that I really recognize, so I'll pick Scott Smith. I know that's horrible.
Good logic, Mike. Great logic.
you know what I mean? I feel like that girl that likes a football team because they have sweet colors. Know what I mean? It's just it's just silly. But no, I think all in all, it's going to be a good card. I think it's going to be entertaining. Whether or not I want to see Hendo, or what I think of the Hendo Fedor fight is besides the point. As the fact that I think that they're both going to throw blows, and I think that it's going to be, I think it's going to be exciting. I don't think it's going to last long, to be honest with you. I would be really surprised if we saw a third round. I would be really shocked. No matter who wins, I think Hendo's going to win, but no matter who wins, I don't think we're going to see a third round. I think it's going to end in the first or the second by somebody getting knocked out or TKO'd or whatever. But that's just my opinion. But we'll find out soon enough, here in about, 8 hours now, roughly?
Roughly.
Do you guys know if the prelims are on anywhere, or if
up here in Canada, we never get the prelims. We always get the main card, and that's it.
Right. Sometimes HDNet will show the prelims in Strikeforce.
If they're showing the prelims tonight or not. Seeing as how I know Dana White's listening to us because the three of us are so fucking cool, I'm not going to tell you where I'm going to go to watch them. But there are places I've found that I don't know how they get the feed, but they do, and that's the only way I get to watch a lot of prelims out in the middle of nowhere sometimes. Okay.
Well, no, that's cool. I mean, a lot of times, I don't think the prelims is what they really care about. Plus, it's on regular TV basically anyways. It's on Showtime, which you have to buy, but it's not like it's pay-per-view where you're buying, spending $55 every time. So I don't think they really care about that. So I really hope the Strikeforce never goes to pay-per-view, to be perfectly honest with you, because I wouldn't pay $50 for this fight tonight. I will tell you that much.
I wouldn't pay $10 for this fight tonight, Mike.
No.
If it wasn't free, I wouldn't be watching.
Yeah, I definitely hear that. Well, I don't know, guys. I appreciate you both coming out, man. Thanks, Justin, for coming out, man. I appreciate it, and we would love to have you back at a later date and time, whenever you want to come on. Jason, it's always a pleasure. It really is, and I appreciate you coming on. And once again, I want to let everybody know, dude, that the Cage Talk podcast is presented to you by Wanted Industries. And it will be from here on out, man. And I appreciate it. And Jason, you want to plug anything there, bud?
Well, Mike, it's an honor and a privilege to work with you. And, I look forward to what the future brings for us. And, really all we got going on right now is our boy Mike Davis is getting in camp, in shape. He's fighting the 30th of September. He's going to be sporting his brand new walkout tee that's going to be available in a couple weeks. And he's going to win. He's slated for an 8-man tourney right now for the title, 135. He's a good young up-and-comer. And that's really about it, Mike. I don't plug much. No doubt, man. No doubt. And Justin, what's up, buddy? Anything you want to let anybody know out there?
You know what? It is a great time to be an MMA fan. We got to get people out. We got to help pimp the Wanted products and Cage Talk podcast, man. Guys, don't be afraid to hit us up on Twitter and let us know what you think of fights. I'm not afraid to hear what your opinions are, guys. Give us a follow. Let us know what you think, and we'll shoot them back at you.
Oh, definitely. I'll be on Twitter all night during the fights, ready to banter with anybody that's on there about the Hendo Fedor fight, whatever you want.
Yes, sir. And I am ready to tweet out that Fedor is overrated and get all of my awesome responses back.
Excellent. I can't wait for that.
No doubt. All right, guys. I really appreciate you guys coming out. I can't freaking wait till next Saturday, man. And again, check out Wanted Industries, man. Follow my boys Wanted IND on Twitter. Justin Odell at Daddy1X2, and also follow my boy Rye McD out on Twitter. And man, I appreciate everybody. Check out Wanted Industries; they're fantastic, and check out the Cage Talk podcast next week, man. You guys have a great night, all right?
All right, Mike. We'll be talking later, I'm sure.
All right, man. Thanks, fellas.
Thanks a lot, Mike.
Thank you.
You are quite welcome.
Talk to you later.
Yeah, man.
Bye.
Bye.